morning and welcome to Daybreak Live Extra on Dominion Television. It's Friday, the 27th of March, 2026. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakon.
I am Manulu Akpoedu, and we're glad to have you join us as we bring you the stories and conversations shaping the day.
And I am Samson Balogun.
Definitely. We begin with a legal development that raises questions about accountability at the highest levels. A court has ordered the arrest of former Minister Tani Mutaraki following his absence at arraignment. What led to this point? What does it say about compliance with judicial processes, especially among public officials? And how might this shape public perception of the justice system? That is our Daybreak Gist this morning.
We'll also bring you the weather reports and shortly after Daybreak News with the major developments shaping the day.
All right, I will also turn to the newspaper headlines. This morning's front pages reflect a mix of legal scrutiny, political positioning, and ongoing national debate. We will take a closer look at the angles, the framings, and the questions behind the headlines with our analyst, Afolabi, a public affairs analyst.
And our big story takes us into a deeper constitutional conversation. Is Nigeria's federal system truly federal or a historical accident? It's a question that goes to the heart of governance, structure, and power distribution in the country. How federal is Nigeria in practice, and what are the implications for state, institutions, and citizens? And joining us is Emmanuel Oladele Abiola, public affairs analyst, to unpack the realities and the tensions within the system.
And before we close Trend Watch, we highlight conversations gaining momentum across the country.
Right. Shall we begin?
We shall begin. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
On this hallowed chamber.
Well, really nice to be back here on a Friday. And I must say, we must ask Anu a lot of questions this morning. Because
the position of this cap,
yes,
I'm trying to understand.
Absolutely. And, you know, it speaks volume in Yoruba. When your cap is as straight as this, that means something. But then we'll talk about that after the show. Let's talk about Aminu Turaki, who has been, his arrest has been ordered. And the question around the fact that he was absent from his own arraignment speaks a lot about what he's going through at this time. First off, he's having issues with the PDP, belongs to a faction of the PDP that is embattled at this time. And on the other case, as a former minister, he's also having issues with the federal government. So all that put together. Now, some people are asking this question. Is this a trend? Okay, majority of the people who are having issues with the court or at one point or the other, or even the federal government at this time, they have something to do in the opposition. Nasir El-Rufai is also in the same category. And so some other people like that who are also in and out of the courtroom for one reason or the other. Well, you might not really want to put Omoyele Sowore because he's more or less like the courtroom these days has turned to be his maybe his stomping ground. He goes there regularly, and you might really not want to put him. But then people are asking questions about, is this turning into a trend? Is the APC trying to shut some people up ahead of the 2027 polls? But then the APC will also argue that this has nothing to do with politics. This is governance. If you have heard in one way or the other, and the court has called you to answer some questions, you just have to be there.
Oh, honestly, I think you're very spot on. And then, just like you mentioned, is it connected to the issue going on within the PDP as we speak? But according to him, because I read a particular story, and they said he filed an appeal to this arrest warrant, and then he said this issue is not, it has nothing to do with the People's Democratic Party. It's majorly personal over a case that happened in 2022. And for someone like Turaki, who is a son, who is a lawyer, a former minister of this country, so people are saying he should understand better. So a case was filed against him, I think, last year, in November 15, over the fact that, he provided some false information to the police, and then the IGP himself filed the case in court. And then not just once, not twice, Turaki did not show up in court. And then his counsel has been speaking for him, defending him. And then I also read a report that said that his counsel mentioned to the judge that the reason why Turaki has been absent in court is because he wants a transfer of the case to another court, because he believes he does not have confidence in the court that is handling this matter. So that speaks volume. Why does he want a transfer to another court when the case was filed in that court, and then he was summoned the first time, he didn't show up. It was summoned the second time, he didn't show up and someone has been speaking for him. So even the person who appeared for the prosecution, Rabiu, there was the first time that he even asked the court to issue a bench warrant against Turaki. But the judge was like, okay, I'm not going to do that now. I'm still going to give him time. That I'm talking about around March 5 or so. So now that the judge decided to issue this arrest warrant against Turaki, what is going to happen? And he has filed an appeal to appeal this case. He's saying this is unjust and this is not connected to whatever it is I'm doing in the PDP. And even so, I think yesterday I read a particular headline that said, Turaki, mentioned that they are trying to reconcile with the Wiki faction. So maybe there's some level of peace. We don't know whether it's a fragile peace or not. But then he's saying we are trying to reconcile. And then I read another headline this morning that is saying, okay, PDP, the faction of Turaki has accepted the Wiki-backed ex-school. So maybe there's a level of peace. So maybe it might not be connected. And now, according to him, it is a personal problem. It has nothing to do with the PDP. So I just want to believe that the court will do the right thing, in terms of handling this matter. Whether they're going to grant him a transfer of this case. But even if they're going to grant him a transfer of this case, he's not been showing up in court. His counsel has been speaking on his behalf. Even the judge has mentioned that if at all they want to stop this proceedings, it's not going to be because of a petition against the judge. Maybe it's going to be because of a direct order from the chief judge. And that was what she said. I'm talking about the presiding judge now. So a lot of issues around this, And then he made a very bold claim to say, I want the transfer of this case because I do not have confidence in this court. So these are the issues that we need to iron out. So maybe we might not really see it as a problem, emanating from the PDP, or maybe something to maybe just, witch hunting or things like that, because a lot of Nigerians who do not know the basis of this matter. This whole matter started in 2022. So way before this whole Turaki and Wiki faction. So we might just need to make that known to the public that it might really not be about this whole PDP faction. It might just be a case that started before. So maybe this recent PDP case now maybe brought it to the public, or maybe more, because a lot of persons don't even know that Turaki had a case, we caught, before now. Maybe this whole faction has now made it more pronounced. That's one thing that we cannot really tell, especially from me this morning.
I think it's also it's sensible for an average person to think it has something to do with this current administration of the APC. Judging by what has been happening, especially with Nyesom Wike and then the PDP versus the APC, we've seen that, some have said Wike is actually the man trying to hold PDP, like the governor of your state said, that is trying to hold PDP for. There's a way they put it in Yoruba. You're holding somebody so that somebody can beat somebody. That's exactly what has been the claims. But there's no pushing it away to say maybe this does not have anything to do. I would ask questions to say, for example, is Turaki the only person who has served in the public office in the last 10 years? No. Nyesom Wike has served, and some other persons who belong now to the APC have served in offices. There scrutiny for them as well. Can we get
maybe they did not submit any false document.
Maybe they don't have a false document to submit. But the matter is still in court. It has been adjourned. The case has been adjourned to April 22nd for that hearing. But that's exactly what a lot of people expect. You say when there seems to be like a calm after the storm in the PDP, why everybody's trying to say, okay, so let's get back together, there is another fire. Just when you thought everything had died down, when you thought it had subsided, when you thought, oh yeah, maybe we are getting to the end of that fight, the end of the tunnel, there's going to be light, eventually another case is coming. So, but the question again will be, why now for Turaki? It could have been any other time. Yes, there's been 2022 case still pending, and then we understand how that's. But some have also said that this present administration is doing something right. And what is it? They are trying to buy the judiciary. So it's a claim, it's not founded, but there's been a lot of questions about Nyesom Wike in the FCT saying that judges must have houses, which is a good development, right? But some would also say that maybe it's a case of if you rub my back and I'll rub yours. It's just, tit for tat. If you do me good, I'll do you well, that kind of thing. So that could have said that they have bought their loyalty. That's a thing. So because we might want to ask the question, why is Turaki saying he does not have confidence in the court system? Because whatever applies in this court should be the applicable thing in another court in the country. So if we have a court sentence in Ibadan, it should not be different from what a judge would give as a court case, as a sentence in Abuja. It should be the same, because we are using the rule of law. The rule of law is not
constitution.
Yes, it's not private to it's not private to your personal interpretation. It's supposed to be clear, lucid, vivid, and evident. If you are been adjudged to be wrong, then you should be wrong anywhere in the world, right? It should be the case for the law, right? But others will say that, okay, maybe perhaps it's not really, it's done something in the past. Tell me one of these persons, one of these big politicians that has not done something in the past, right? So it's only the person whose back is uncovered that we see. They said that there's a saying that, the person that is caught is the thief. There are a lot of thieves that are not caught. And that begs the question to say, maybe it is a targeted attempt to keep dismantling the PDP. Maybe this is a targeted attempt to bring Turaki down so that it can be distracted. Because for now, 2027 is just here. Elections will start in no time. April 23rd to May 30th is supposed to be the primaries for PDP or for political parties to have their primaries, which is exactly why people are saying, why now? Can we just have this suspension of this court case for now so that we can settle? Because there's still a lot of ruffled feathers across the PDP. They're trying to resolve it. And now that we think they are going to get to the end of it, something is coming up from the case. But I just want to say that whatever the case is, even if it was adjudged to have been wrong, let every other person, whether or not they have defected to the APC, let them also do the crime. If you do the crime, then you should do the time. Let them do the time as well, not just some special people. Because others have also alleged that this present administration is interested in witch hunting people that are against it. There's been claims about, even Atiku Abubakar mentioned something about Malami's case, and then El Rufai to say this present administration is targeting some people for some reason, and you might not really throw his words to the drain. You might not want to rush it down the drain, because you might also want to think about it that, okay, so why this person? Why that person? There are a lot of persons too who have served in one capacity or the other in public offices. They are not being checked. Because someday, somehow, we will get to see that some of them now will get a court case again. Because if maybe after they've left the APC, they also get their own bite of a court case. But the cases, whatever the cases, if it's actually true that Turaki, submits a false information to the police, if it's actually true that every of the things that has been leveled against him is true, then it should be also for every other person. Let the police, let the EFCs, let the ICPC go to do a broader check to see every other person, to see if they have also done well or if they have done evil. And so let's bring crime to the public and let people know that, oh yes, if you do this, then you should have this. So it's not just some people. Let it be a thing. I'm saying let it be the national kick of everybody. Everybody has been found culpable should be put to question, should be brought to the house to say, yes, this is what you've done. Can you speak for what you have done? Can you defend yourself against the allegations put forward against you? So I just want to say, let it not just be on targeted persons. Let's also have people in cabinets or people who are working for this administration, might not be in public office because of immunity for now. Let them also answer to questions. There are a lot of people still saying a lot of things about some of these APC stalwarts as well, to say they've also done something before. So let's bring it to the table. Okay.
While I want to also believe that this might be a targeted approach, it might just be a coordinated attempt to decimate the PDP. But then I feel the timing is off. Reason being that before this crisis started, I think he has had the issue with the federal government before he was even nominated to be the chairman of the People's Democratic Party, fractional chairman of the People's Democratic Party. So that nullifies the fact that he's being targeted. This might just be a random. The only question is, if it was left to breathe at that time, why now? Okay, if, yes, he had the case in court, but then someone decided to let him leave, just like you bought some chickens and you are like, oh, just keep, feeding fat until I'm ready. And then someone just woke up one day and said, look, it is time for me to, take you to the slaughter slab. So I want to believe that the time is also off by when he's being pressured to appear in court. And also, I don't think the APC has done a selective prosecution for the opposition in the country, because we have had some APC members who have also had their fair share of, trials and tribulations in the hands of their own political party, the APC. For example, Chris Ngige was sent to jail. In fact, I think he spent Christmas in jail. And by the time he was returning from jail, he went straight to an APC ESCO's meeting. So that says a lot about the fact that whether you're a member of the APC or you are not a member of the APC, if you have a crisis, or maybe, just maybe some people might say, well, if you don't belong to the right caucus in the APC, you might also, face, the drum and dance to it. And also, we have also seen someone like Betad, who was kicked out of office. There was also Minister for Humanitarian Affairs at the point, who was also kicked out of office and also prosecuted, though there was no conviction of any sort. A lot of them like that.
And some just resign, basically. We don't really know why they resign.
Yes, you see, sometimes, and that's another big question, okay? And it happens in some countries too, but I don't know how far they go with the fact that they have given you the honor to resign. Are you returning every dime you stole? And if it is not a corruption case, maybe it has to do with fraudulent certificate, what exactly is being done behind the scenes. We might not really have, followed up to that extent in some countries. But in Nigeria, we have seen it, especially under this Tinubu administration, at least maybe about 2 or thereabouts, who have resigned silently, and they have gone back to, wherever it is they came from. Take, for example, you just mentioned Chris. Some people will just resign, and then also there were allegations against the former Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun. Whatever happens, nobody really knows.
Chairman, INEC chairman.
INEC chairman too, silently. And Kayode Egbetokun, I think someone said, according to publications, he was at a meeting with the president, and then he was told, look, Kayode, you have to go now, and someone else has to come on board. Whatever happens between them, don't forget that his tenure as police IGP ended, and it was extended to be an interim basis until after the election, and some other things came up, and then he had to go. And there was also this man, I'm trying to remember his name, and Waboku also. Recently, he was convicted of, I think, for 2 years. I'm trying to remember his name. Let me find it. But then, he was also convicted, Chinyere Waboku was convicted and jailed. Sentence was 72 years to run concurrently. Offense, 868 million naira fraud. And also, it includes money laundering. And he's a member of the All Progressives Congress. So far, we have seen people who belong to the party or have affiliations with the APC who are also facing, 1 or 2 crises when it comes to issues around corruption and some other things like that. But then, in a country like Nigeria, what exactly are we doing about contempt of court? We have seen people do it a lot of times, calling the bluff of the court and saying, look, I am not coming. And they will not go. Eventually, they walk free. So, as the federal government strengthened our courts enough to take major decisions and then they stand by it, or they are being rubbished by individuals or the eyes and mighties who feel like nothing will happen. If the court summons me and I don't go, what will happen? Because, of course, according to reports, he's been invited twice and decided not to honor the court. So what will happen to someone? According to the Constitution, you can either be fined or jailed or both at the same time. So what will happen to Turaki now? Another big problem is Nigerians are really, there is this emotional appeal when someone is being, prosecuted, especially someone with large followership. I mean, how do we plead not guilty to an offense that is obvious? And then because he's our person, he should not be tried. Or because you don't like the person trying this person in question, you should not be tried. This is the only country where that happens. You are like, oh, because it is the APC, this man is PDP, is a witch hunt. Oh, because it's the PDP in power, and then this man is APC, is a witch hunt. I think that has to stop. As long as the case is in court, let's all admit that this case is in court. Let the court do justice to this matter and not appeal. I'm sure that at this time, some PDP members will now come out and say, oh, it's because he's a member of the PDP, oh, it's because he's the chairman, or maybe the APC wants to decimate the party PDP. I think we should start thinking in a different direction, especially when it comes to justice system in the country.
Yeah, let me take you from where you stopped. Yoruba people will say that when people are crying, they should ensure that they can still see.
Right.
So because it is very convenient to say that it is because of this old tussle going on with the PDP, and that's why it's been issued an arrest warrant. It's very convenient, a very good argument. But then we should look at, just like you mentioned, I think I mentioned it the first time I even talked about this, that you were summoned the first time, the second time. So if it's any other person, if he's a medical doctor or a writer or someone else, people can still say, okay, maybe he doesn't really understand, or maybe his counsel did not do much to explain to him the consequences of not showing up in court, not once, not twice. He is a son. When something happened with this senator, this famous senator in the House, remind me her name now,
Natasha.
People were asking questions. For God's sake, Natasha, you're a lawyer, you understand certain things.
You should know better.
You have some grievances, there's a better way to explain. Last year, something happened in court. A very popular person in this country, something happened between that person and the judge. And then it was a mess. And then you begin to wonder, why is it that people don't really, some other countries don't really respect, the justice system of Nigeria.
You don't know law.
A back and forth in the courtroom.
Show me the law.
Even apart from that, there have been other cases too. Even recently, Showore in court now. I think I watched a video.
His lawyer.
Exactly. I watched a clip about 2 days ago. It was in the courtroom. The proceedings, had not started yet. And then some journalists were asking him questions. And someone walked up to him, maybe a law person, to say that you cannot do this. Whether we are yet to start or not, you cannot do this in the courtroom. So basically, if you look at this...
For that, who should be blamed? The press?
It's a problem.
Or Showore himself?
Or Showore himself. It led to a very huge matter, a very messy matter. And then you begin to wonder, is it that people are not, is it that people do not understand this thing? So if at all you want to plead your case, you want a transfer of that case to another court, you can just simply appear once and then just speak for yourself, plead your case to say, because I do not trust this court based on some reasons I want to disclose or I don't want to disclose, and that's the reason why I want to transfer. Right. People will understand you, and then the sympathy can look very cool and not so unbiased. So basically, I think there's an angle to this to say maybe it's because this case happened in 2022. 2022, 23, 24, 25,
and even the president came on board in 2023.
Exactly. That was the last administration. And I think I mentioned that even it was a minister at some point. So basically, it could be linked to it. But then, even looking at what is going on within the PDP now, I just mentioned that Wike, or let me say, Turaki himself said, we are trying to reconcile with the Wike faction. And then I read an headline this morning that said, okay, the Turaki faction already accepted the Wike-backed, EXCO. So we are probably expecting, a truce, maybe a peace, in some way within the People's Democratic Party. But the likes of Turaki and Makinde are saying, we are not going to support Tinubu-led government too. If at all we want to ensure that there is peace, it's going to be that there will be candidates that will be fighting, for the People's Democratic Party in the next general election. So it's both ways. If you look at this, it could be linked to it. But then in another way, we should do things properly. In law, we call something precedence. They always refer to it that when Turaki did not show up in court in 2026,
so what did you do?
What did you do to Turaki? Because people this is what lawyers, or let me say law students, they are studying in universities. They will make reference to it in the next 20, 30 years. What did you do to him? And then, at the end of the day, the judge will not be able to do anything. So
according to Turaki versus the federal government.
God bless you.
2022.
Have you attended law classes before? That's how they make the claims and then the cases. So basically, let's do things right. If at all you want the sympathy of the public, please ensure that you do, especially if you are not an authority. In law cases, a son, please. We can really be better.
I was going to also say that there's a saying that put your house in order. And, when they say when you make such statement, they're trying to say there should be a system that undergirds the operations of your house as a person, or perhaps even as a court now. The case is, you might want to ask yourself, why is it so common with the highs and mighty? Right. There's a saying that it's only a thief that knows how to track a thief on the rocky place. It's understandable that they understand that they can just play foul and still get away.
They know the loopholes.
So exactly, we've been talking about that too. Like, there's a loophole somewhere in the judicial system that these people know how to pass. And we've seen, this is not even the first time we've had this. Contempt of court is something we should speak to with a very serious outlook on it, because it's very important that subsequently, because first off, I think the first issue is that, I used to say that trust is gained in drops. and it's lost in buckets. You know, you want to imagine that a lot of persons have lost trust in the court system, the judicial system of the country, to say, we are not so sure, whatever, if you are a big person, if you are part of those carcass of the highs and mighty, you can always escape whatsoever thing you do. There's always a way around it, right? They can always find a way to make you look like you've not committed a crime, and then
make you get away with every and anything.
So if you see, if the big, the highs and the mighties are getting away with crimes like this, because you never see an average person go to court or get a court sentence or service and would not go, because they are always afraid of the courts. It's only the big guns that would say, you know what, I can shout, who are you, do you know the law, to a judge in his court, not in your room, not in your house. You don't, I mean, so it's only in Nigeria we have this kind of cases where people, the highs and mighty, disrespect the rule of law, disrespect the court, disrespect the judge, right? And I sometimes might not even blame them. Let the court really, the judicial system, every other person that is involved in this should try to get these things, cut off those excesses, so that there can be a clear way to prosecute people, clear way to administer justice in the country, Nigeria. And I think that's the way forward.
Just before we go, the last line to what you just dropped is that as long as you disrespect the rule of law, you have disrespected the country, the nation, and that is the biggest offense.
Sorry, just before we go, and also it should be balanced. Even when the judge is wrong, there was a recent case, and then a lawyer was asked to kneel down. You know, and then the NBA had to caution the judge to say, you don't ask a lawyer to kneel down, whatever it is. Yeah. So we should always be balanced. If I thought the judge is wrong or the court is wrong, we'll also talk about it.
Absolutely.
Basically.
All right. That's a convenient point to drop that topic this morning. It is time to help you plan your day. And we'll be taking weather report right now. We'll be starting with the ancient metropolitan city of hospitality, Ibadan. As we speak in Ibadan, weather is currently at 25 degrees Celsius. It is cloudy right here in Ibadan, but it will rise by 6 degrees Celsius to 31 degrees Celsius later in the morning. It will be mostly cloudy with humidity around 2%. There's a promise of a few showers in the afternoon, with weather also rising to 35 degrees Celsius, and humidity will be around 30%. It drops to 28 degrees Celsius in the evening. It will be mostly cloudy, humidity dropping drastically to 4%, and a slight drop to 26 degrees Celsius overnight. It will be cloudy with humidity also dropping to 2% right here in Ibadan, Southwest today.
And from Ibadan, we crossed to Lagos this morning, where it feels like 33 degrees Celsius, and later in the morning is expected to be around 31 degrees Celsius. Mostly cloudy around 2%, and in the afternoon we have 32 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 1%, and in the evening we have 29 degrees Celsius, mostly clear around 4%, and overnight we have 28 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 5%, and that's where we are for Lagos this morning.
And shortly away from Lagos to Ekiti Southwest today, in Ekiti, the weather will be cloudy across the board at 24 degrees Celsius in Ekiti today. And later in the morning, 29 degrees Celsius is what it starts with. It's expected to be mostly cloudy at 1% humidity. There's also a promise of showers in the afternoon hours of the day for Ekiti Southwest at 33 degrees Celsius with 32% humidity chance right there. And in the evening, it drops to 26 degrees Celsius to become partly cloudy. And overnight, it drops much further to 24 degrees Celsius, dropping by 2 degrees Celsius to become cloudy in Ekiti Southwest today.
All right, moving on, we'll drive back to Osun, and that is Osogbo Sacred Grove this morning. All right, weather in Osun as we speak, it's currently cloudy at 24 degrees Celsius, rises by 6 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius later in the morning. It will be mostly cloudy with humidity at a minimal of 1%. There will be another rise to 35 degrees Celsius in the afternoon with a promise of showers right there in Osogbo, and of course humidity rising drastically to 41%. And in the evening, it drops to 27 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy, humidity returning to 1%. And overnight, it drops further to 25 degrees Celsius, cloudy, humidity at 4% right there in Osogbo today.
From Osogbo, we cross to Port Harcourt Rivers, and weather feels like 22 degrees Celsius. Later in the morning is expected to be around 28 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 4%. And in the afternoon, we have 30 degrees Celsius, scattered thunderstorms around 47%. And in the evening, we have 24 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 2%. And overnight, we have 23 degrees Celsius, cloudy around 4%. And that's what we have in Rivers this morning.
From Rivers to Ilorin East, Kwara State, the weather will be cloudy at 26 degrees Celsius across board, and in the morning, 31 degrees Celsius, expect to be partly cloudy. A significant increase in the afternoon to 37 degrees Celsius, moving by 6 degrees Celsius up to remain partly cloudy. And then the weather becomes clear, dropping by a significant 7 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius in the evening to become mostly clear. And then it will be mostly cloudy overnight, dropping 4 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius overnight in Ilorin East, Kwara State today.
All right, we take this one from the Gateway State this morning, and that is talking about Abeokuta in Ogun. Weather in Abeokuta right now is currently at 29 degrees Celsius, cloudy right there. It will rise slightly to 31 degrees Celsius later in the morning. It will be mostly cloudy with humidity at 1%. It will be mostly cloudy in the afternoon, rising to 36 degrees Celsius and humidity also rising to 24%. And in the evening, it drops to 29 degrees Celsius, mostly clear, zero chance of humidity. And overnight, it will be cloudy and drops slightly to 27 degrees Celsius, humidity returning to 24% right there in Abeokuta, Ogun State today.
And from Abeokuta this morning, we crossed to Suleja, Niger, and weather this morning feels like 28 degrees Celsius. And later in the morning is expected to be around 31 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 1%. In the afternoon, we have 36 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 3%. And in the evening, we have 30 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 2%. And overnight, we have 27 degrees Celsius, mostly clear, around 3%. And that's what we have for Suleja this morning.
We have significant variations across board in Maiduguri, Borno State today because the weather is moving up and down at a very significant rate. It's going to be clear across board at 24 degrees Celsius, and in the morning 34 degrees Celsius, very sunny, mostly sunny across the many parts of Maiduguri today. And in the afternoon as well, a further rise of about 6 degrees Celsius to become 40 degrees Celsius. It's going to be very sunny right there in Borno today. In the evening, a drastic drop to 31 degrees Celsius by 9 degrees Celsius down to become clear. And then to remain clear overnight, dropping to 25 degrees Celsius also significantly in Maiduguri, Borno State.
All right, moving on. Let's take this one from the Federal Capital Territory. And the weather is currently fair in Abuja at 28 degrees Celsius. Later in the morning, it rises to 31 degrees Celsius. It will be partly cloudy with humidity at 1%. By afternoon, there will be a further rise to 36 degrees Celsius, remaining partly cloudy with humidity at 5%. It will also be partly cloudy in the evening, dropping back to 30 degrees Celsius, humidity returning to 1%, and overnight it will be mostly clear. And of course, it drops to 27 degrees Celsius with humidity at 2% right there in the FCT today.
And from FCT, we crossed to Kano Municipal. Weather feels like 23 degrees Celsius this morning. Later in the morning is expected to be around 33 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, around 0%. And in the afternoon, we have 38 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 0% as well. In the evening, we have 31 degrees Celsius, clear, around 0%. And overnight, we have 25 degrees Celsius, clear, around 0% as well for Kano this morning.
All right, I think that will be all we can take on weather reports this morning. We say thank you for joining us on the show. So far, do out to link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast. And on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can watch us live on our website at www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dominion Broadcast, like our Facebook page at Dominion Broadcast Television. All right, it is a convenient time to leave that this morning. Let's go on a quick break. And when we return, we'll take the news. We'll be back.
Hello and welcome to Daybreak News on Dominion Television, Ibadan. My name is Anuluakpo Ido. Vice President Kashim Shettima has said Nigeria remains committed to protecting human rights while tackling insecurity. He spoke at the Humanitarian Law Dialogue in Abuja, noting that the government has integrated humanitarian principles into security operations. Shettima said the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is adopting both military and non-military approaches to address conflict. He added that the new legal frameworks are being strengthened to support displaced persons and improve national security response. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) has said it monitored projects worth over 21 trillion naira under the Federal Ministry of Works. Chairman Musa Aliyu disclosed this at a workshop in Abuja. He said the initiative is aimed at preventing corruption through close monitoring of public spending. Aliyu added that the effort ensures value for money and deters corrupt practices. A Federal Capital Territory High Court has ordered the arrest of Kabiru Turaki, a factional national chairman of the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Justice U.P. Kekemeke issued the order after Turaki failed to appear in court. The case was filed by the Nigeria Police Force over allegations of providing false information. The court ruled that there was no justification for his absence. The Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission (OISEC) has assured residents of a free and credible local government election scheduled for December 29, 2026. Chairman Babatunde Adeniyi gave the assurance during a meeting with the Nigerian Union of Journalists in Ibadan. He said the commission will adhere strictly to electoral laws to ensure a transparent process. NUJ representatives also pledged support to ensure a successful election. The Oyo State Road Traffic Management Authority has directed motorists and traders at Iwo Road in Ibadan to relocate to the designated bus terminal. Chairman Adekoya Adesagba said the move is to ease traffic congestion and restore order. He warned that roadside trading and illegal parking are contributing to gridlock and increasing the risk of accidents. The agency said enforcement will continue, adding that defaulters will face sanctions. Meanwhile, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party in Oyo State, Olufemi Oguntoyinbo, has called for a ban on roadside trading. He made the appeal following a fatal accident along Bere Gate Road, which claimed several lives. Oguntoyinbo said many victims were roadside traders, stressing that banning the practice would improve safety. He urged the government led by Seyi Makinde to act swiftly to prevent further loss of lives. And in business, the federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to revitalizing the cooperative sector to drive food security and job creation. Minister of State for Agriculture, Aliyu Abdullahi, said cooperatives are key to rural development and economic growth. He announced a new reform program aimed at strengthening the sector and promoting inclusion. The initiative is expected to support small businesses as well as empower youth and women. And finally, in sport, Super Eagles head coach Eric Chell has said fans will soon admire newly invited winger Ira Sow. The 25-year-old forward joined the squad for a four-nation tournament in Turkey and could make his debut today against Iran. Chell also describes Sow as an exciting player whose pace and style of play are expected to win over supporters. Nigeria will face Jordan next Tuesday in their second match. And that's about it on Daybreak News. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominion Cast. And that ends the Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I am Anu Oluwapo Ido saying thank you for watching.
Welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us this morning. This is Newspaper Headlines and Analysis. I'm Oluwayemi Adelako. I'm glad to introduce to you this morning Afolabi Afolami, who is my analyst this morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Right. Okay, let's start with Daily Global. This one looks like a good news, especially, in times like this. That says Dangote Refinery reduces petrol price to 1,200 per litre. Is that a relief?
Yeah, it's a big relief because thank God for Dangote, who took the initiative and has went due to secure Nigeria in the petroleum industry.
Okay.
If we have been a country or a refinery that we depend on, maybe we would have been buying petrol for 9,000 naira per litre by now.
Wow. Because
we don't have anything on ground. And for the man taking such initiative then, and we know, even though we understand there are so many hookups, there are so many challenges, but that's why we tell people to allow those who see beyond the present, to allow them utilize what they have. It's only Dangote Nigeria, the entire country is depending on now. And for a relief, because as of yesterday, petrol is already selling for 1,400 naira. Wow. So the 200 naira on release, reduced from 1,400 is still something. Yes, it will allow, it will still allow some people to take their car out. And while some people, that does not mean that the petroleum, the transportation price will be reduced. In Nigeria, immediately the pump price goes up, the price
doesn't come down.
It doesn't come down. So I will be waiting.
But what if we go back to 1,009 something?
That will not still determine the price of transportation, because a lot of things are in the transportation industry. Not only the fuel price, not only the oil price. What about the mechanical needs? You talk about the parts. Okay. What are the price of the parts? How much are people buying those? And again, our security agency on the road, they also contributors to the price of movement from one place to another, because they are yet to know that we are all Nigerians. We suffer from these things, and people who depend solely on their salaries, and many of those people who use the transportation from one place to another, but they have taken an opportunity of it to always stop these guys, collect money from them, and in return, those ones, the money they collect from them, they return it back to the passengers who paid the high due. So it's not just petroleum pump price that determines the price of transportation in Nigeria. They are also contributors. In short, they are a factor to be considered.
Wow, it's really a big problem. Honestly, let's cross to the blueprint this morning and check the headline that says 8,453 delegates storm Abuja for APC National Convention. And of course, it appears that there's been some issues, on the ground that APC is not talking about, especially with the NWC, the committee. Now that they are set for a convention, do you see APC, managing this well, this brewing crisis?
APC is the new bride. They will manage everything they need to manage. Like I used to tell people, the Bible said times and season. This is the season of APC. Everybody is a member. Wherever they are, they will do everything to cover up. They will do everything to make sure 2027 never elude them. Wow. They will do everything to make sure that their party remain on ground. They will do everything to make sure that even those small parties dies and collapse into their own party. They will do everything to make sure that Nigeria is the only reason, has no other reasons or other party to vote for but APC. So let APC continue in their seasonal enjoyment while it lasts. And that is what I want to say. Yes, we understood that they have internal political crisis, especially now that they are looking into consensus in doing so many things that they'll be doing, which does not go well with members, and which they have also passed the electoral law to make members who may be angry to still stay put in the party without going. Yes, you may be grumbling, you may not like what is going on, but you keep calm, you sit down there, you'll be looking, and that is the case of APC.
What about working against your party? Because we've seen it severally with some opposition parties.
You can work against your party, but you are not leaving the party. Some people have worked against their party in the past. The likes of the G5 of APC, of PDP worked against their party, and they still remain. Even the recent election that brought in the governor, the president of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, works against their party, and they still remain. Now we are hearing of reconciliation here and there. So is this electoral law as more tighten up the boats and making sure that even when you don't love your party, you are going to be there.
So you are saying that convention we had in a huge success.
Oh, It's already done somewhere before the open gallery.
Wow, wow. Let's cross to the Daily Sun and check out this headline. The banner headline, actually. IGP submit state police framework to the Senate. Federal government reaffirms commitment to secure nation. We keep seeing the document being signed. We keep, hearing of meetings upon meetings. But it appears that, policemen are still dying. Soldiers, across the country, basically.
I want the IGP this time around to look better, to look outside the box, to take another good decision in making sure that the welfare of our police officers are taken into more important, action this time around. Aside that, they don't only they are discipline, they are kind of training. You see, we cannot talk about a society where we talk about security agencies. They are very important. They are core important people to our society. They checkmate the people. They secure their lives and property. They also standing by they are part of our image. When you talk about a country, you talk about their police officers, talk about their security agencies. They are their image. They are our image. If you want to look up to how Nigeria is doing, go into the Nigerian security agencies, check in the immigration, check in the police officers, check in the army, check in all other areas. Then you know if Nigeria is a place to come, to stay, or not. That is, and when we talk about these people on the road, not knowing what to do, they just stop people anyhow. They felt like they will be telling you that their salary are not being paid very well. They will be telling you that in those days when we were growing up, we used to have a Nigerian police barracks, okay. And some of us envy such barracks to the point that some of us have gone there to stay with our friends and see the way they are living. But not this time around. They are not there. The police barracks are not more there. The ones that are available are in shambles. They're not well taken care of. And make these people to go loose, like do anything for money, get anything. And I keep wondering, how do we get our small arms and ammunition on the street? When you want to trace it back, you cannot trace it beyond the fact that some people are bad eggs in the police office, office force, bringing this thing out just to earn money. So, and I've been to a station one time, and you'll be hearing some police even being asked to be detained in their own prison.
Oh, wow.
So that tells you the kind of training that we need. If the police ID want to make a good framework now,
is it an error of recruitment?
Well, one, you may be right to say it's an error of recruitment, because it's not only down here that we recruit. In the Southwest here, the format of recruitment here is basically based on merit. You look at people, you look at their height, you see who they are coming, where they are coming from. You want to see their guarantors. You want to look.
It's not about who you know.
It's not. Yeah, it's not about who you know. It is very, very strict to get into the Nigerian police from this side. But from up there, they just go on the roadside and bring out people. They might even go to the secondary school where they are just SS3, SS1, and bring them in. And that is why you find out that some other people, police officers coming from the north, may not even hear the language you are talking, even the general English language. Some of them cannot even communicate very well. And it becomes a problem even when you need them to write some things for you. They tell you, take your biro and write. They become too aggressive about it. And these are one of the reasons why we may be having some bad eggs. And aside that, some people joining the Nigerian police already determined in their mind to go in there and make money.
Wow.
Not to secure the Nigerians' lives and property. And so these are contributors to the problems we're having. And I want the IGP to look beyond now and also see himself living tomorrow if you need to do Nigerian police force better today.
Okay. It's a good place to leave that discussion because we've discussed about quite a number of things around the Nigerian police force. And let's also take another headline from Daily Sun, and I have a headline that says Soludo orders suspension of workers without pay for lateness to work. And some Nigerians are calling for they're asking other governors to also take initiative from the governor of Anambra State to also visit certain sectors unannounced, because especially some Nigerians are saying if you go to the civil service, most of them they are not allegedly. Nigerians are saying that most of them are not chalant. They don't come to work early.
You see the rate at which these are also part of our image. The Nigerian image is not just the flag. The Nigerian image is not just the currency, the naira. Nigerian image is not just the president or the governor or the rep or the senate or just an assembly member that represent us. These civil servants are also part of our image. And you see them getting to office anyhow. Some people, immediately they get to office and log in, they start taking gari, akara, Some people have turned the place even to business, and it's on call for. Those who are really core sectors, who are really working and not much. I think it is a good step in the right direction. If other governors can take steps like that and just box in without announce, try to sanitize the place. It's a way of sanitizing the place and put integrity and put commitment into the lives of our people, because we can't just continue like this. We can't just, in the next 20 years, what will Nigeria be? In the next 10 years, what do you expect Nigeria to become? I remember the days when we used to talk about Vision 2020, Vision 2025, Vision 2000. All these 2000, 2020, 2025 visions, where are they? Where are the blueprints?
Now, the hype was too much for 2020.
The hype was much for 2020, and I waited for that 2020 to come, and it came, and there was nothing. Nothing was on ground. Nothing was done. Instead, we had the COVID-19, and some people were using the money.
But some people became billionaires.
That was because they have, that 2020 was the days of COVID-19, where some people said they are already giving out, feeding people at home, and nothing was done. You can imagine how some people became sudden millionaires billionaires because they've gotten the opportunity. So Nigerians, leaders and elites don't have vision. If we have vision, we will work with what we have already calculated. We will work with what we have as a blueprint. So to sanitize the Nigeria civil servants, the civil service, I think it is better that we have not only the governor boxing in, let the local government chairman also do the same. Let's see the councillor going around. Let's see the House of Assembly member boxing in to see who is here, what is here. If you get there for 8, 10, and nobody has arrived, because you cannot work in the banking industry and get to work for 8 o'clock. It's not possible. You can't just get it there. So these are the things that we need, that will sanitize us and prepare us for tomorrow.
Okay, he's giving directive for their suspension. While some Nigerians online are saying, no, don't suspend them, just expel them.
That is the
what
best.
Do you make of that?
That suspension is because they are family members, you know. There is no civil servant that you will not relate to. Before you know it, the man that was there may have gotten there through a family member of a family member that is related to Soludo. So its suspension may down the tension a little. Okay. If you have to sack them before you get home, many people will have been at his house chanting and crying and the likes. You will not be able to explain better that he does this in order to make sure that other people don't do it. But before you know it, and people say, okay, but it's because you have gotten the second ticket, don't worry, your party will not come again in this state, this and that. That is it. We are used to that. And that is why the man just felt, okay, the best way to do it is to put up a sanction. But we are yet to see a stiff and strict kind of leaders that will put up a total getting them out of the field. Because it will make other people who are serious to come in.
But lastly, on this particular issue, would this change anything? I recall, I think, a few weeks ago, this man in charge of, I want to remember his name now. Is it Tuji now? This man in charge of passport.
Okay, yeah, immigration.
Yeah. Exactly. I want to remember his name.
He also did the same.
So he did the same, and then he went to the office, and then he saw that some persons were sitting down,
doing nothing.
It's taking long to get a passport after registering. So these are the issues now.
Yes.
So what do you make of that? Do you think this one visit will change anything?
It will not change anything. It does not. If it does not continue, if we don't sustain it, sustainability is our problem. Yes, the man has done it. He has gone there to train.
Tuji Ojo.
Yeah, Tuji Ojo has done so much about it, But the truth of the matter is that even if after now there was no follow-up, the thing will just return back. It's just like you asking people on the roadside to leave the roads because they should not stay by the roadside. One time you bring your bus and pack all of them, and after which you calm down. Before you know it, these are Nigerian mentality and psychology kind of behavior. They will return back there. Go back to the Mokola. I was at Mokola one time. The bus suddenly stopped. Police officer came down. There was a camera, and they were putting up all those people selling by the roadside. In less than 3 hours before
they went back. It's a big problem.
It's a serious one.
Honestly. Okay, but then let's cross to The Guardian this morning. I have a headline that says, Turaki appeals bench warrant as PDP faction for closest support for Tinubu's re-election. So he's saying this is unjust. You do not, give an order for my arrest, because, according to him, he wants a transfer of that case to another court because he doesn't have confidence in the court. But some persons are saying, when you were summoned, try to show up at least. You didn't show up, and now you're asking for a transfer. And some Nigerians are saying, okay, this is linked to the toss with the PDP. They are trying to reach on him and things like that. Where do you stand?
Yeah, where I stand is that this is Nigeria for you. These are Nigerian factors. Some people felt they are too big for the power, so that they are bigger than the law of the land. And that was why the likes of Turaki, we felt that his appearance at the court will be too big, and asking that the case be taken away from that court to another court. And that tells you what our allies felt in so many. That was why our judiciary has been so much, sorry to say, useless. So that some people will just feel that the judiciary, I know the person there, I don't worry, and that was how. But the truth of the matter is that even if you want a transfer of your case from this court to another court, your appearance matter first, and then the court will now consider your application to say, okay, now that you don't have belief in this court, let's move it, and that will be done. But where you ignore the call from the court, and you felt that you cannot appear because you don't trust the man in charge, is something not good enough. It tells us that something is wrong with us. And again, looking at the political angle of it, yes, everything Nigeria is doing now is politics. We are better done on political end than building ammunition, than building soldiers, than building industry. That was one time I said that Nigeria will not find himself. In the case of Iran, US-Israel war, and you want Nigeria to win, we will even surrender the first day. So
you think we are that fragile?
We are not fragile, but what do we have on ground? Me and you, we know now.
I think Asari Dokubo, I think about last year when they were saying US might actually come into Nigeria. He was very vocal to say any American who shows up will die in Nigeria.
Where is Asari now? Do you know how many US army that is on ground now? Over 200 is on ground right now. Over 200 US army are on ground in Nigeria right now. Where is Asari? We are very good at that talking now. We are good at politics. That is what we know how best to do. In Nigeria, politics, we can, in short, our kind of politics, we can't be a coach of. That's why our football sectors is also having problems. Politics, somebody will look at, if that guy will score. Before you know it, and that is what is destroying all the better areas of our lives, all the better areas that we will have developed, and the areas that people will have. And that is why many people, when they get out of this country, they want to enter a place, they will be, immediately you mention Nigeria, the name, So I want to believe that the case of this Turaki is not only looking into from the judicial angle, we are also looking at it from the political angle. We are believing that as it is right now, the PDP is trying to call for reconciliation. And if that should happen, some people that are not feeling very okay in the APC, we want to go at the back and queue up behind the PDP and make sure that they win some areas so as not to give APC the total victory. And that alone will be a check on APC. So if that happens, APC who have already been boasting of a 31 governor, the sitting governor on their side, and that they already put to shame.
Majority in the house.
Yeah, majority in the house. But I tell you, if that should happen, it means that the work was just a fluke, was not real. The margin, the camping does not look real. The camping was as a result of a party that is not properly structured or having problems. By the time they now see it that way, so they would want to kill the party very, very well. So I want to say that the case of Turaki is on both sides, judiciary and politics.
Which is louder?
I think the politics is louder.
Really? Okay. So what would be your advice? Because now I read an headline this morning that says the Turaki faction decided to accept the Wike-backed ESCO. So it appears that, one side is actually accepting more than the other side, just for the sake of peace. Because
the leader is already going down. And you know that immediately they accept the Wike faction, the Turaki case may be reduced, the case before Turaki in the court of law may be suspended or even thrown away. And you see Turaki coming back freely again. Somebody has said, when you join our party, all your sins are forgiven.
Well, I think it's a fine place to leave that discussion this morning. A big thanks to you, Afolabi Afomilami,
thank you very much
for joining us on this segment
for having me.
We appreciate you, and of course, the audience, thank you for staying tuned. We take a short break now. When we come back, we move on to the big story. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. Please stay with us.
right, good morning and welcome to the big story on Daybreak Live Extra. Today we turn our focus to a question that strikes at the very foundation of Nigeria's nationhood. Is Nigeria's federal system truly federal or merely a product of historical compromise? From debates over resource control to agitation for restructuring, and from fiscal centralization to state autonomy struggles, the Nigerian Federation continues to generate intense political constitutional conversations. But beyond the headlines, we ask, was Nigeria ever designed to function as a true federation? Or did history simply push it into one? To help us unpack this, we are joined by public affairs analyst and entrepreneur, Emmanuel Oladele Abiola. Samson Balogo is my name, and thank you for joining us. Nigeria's journey into federalism did not begin as a deliberate ideological choice. It evolved from colonial necessity. Before independence, the territory now known as Nigeria was a collection of diverse ethnic nationalities brought together under British rule following the 1914 amalgamation of Northern and Southern protectorates by Sir Frederick Lord Lugard. This union, largely administrative, laid the foundation for future constitutional developments. The shift towards federalism began in the 1940s with the Richards Constitution of 1946, which introduced regional divisions, northern, western, and eastern regions, acknowledging Nigeria's diversity. The Macpherson Constitution of 1951 expanded this by allowing greater regional participation and legislative autonomy through wider consultations. The turning point came with the Littleton Constitution of 1954, which formally established Nigeria as a federation, granting significant powers to the regions, including control of resources and regional institutions. Prominent nationalist leaders such as Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, and Ahmadu Bello played key roles, advocating a system that would protect regional interests within a united Nigeria. So, federalism was driven by ethnic and cultural diversity, fear of domination, administrative convenience, and growing demand for self-rule. However, post-independence events, especially military rule from 1966, shifted power to the center, weakening the true federal principle. This evolution raises a critical question. Is Nigeria still practicing the federalism envisioned at its foundation, or has it become something else entirely? This and more we'll be discussing on the show this morning, and I'm joined by Emmanuel Oladele Abiola. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
The 1914 amalgamation saw the merging of the Northern and Southern protectorates brought us together. Some will claim, they claim it is forced marriage, a forced union at that time. But some believed that together as one is bigger than being separate. And that was the belief of the white, the colonial masters, that it would be convenient to rule and put up an administrative setup. But as time passes by, things began to evolve. Regional system of government, the northern region, the old western region, and of course the eastern region at that time saw Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo. Of course, they had regions that were thriving. We had the cocoa pyramid, we had the groundnut pyramid, we had the palm oil, and every region was thriving on their own. But then there came resource control. The military rule took over. Everyone had to submit to the power at the center. And then there was these issues. Some people call it a problem. Some see it as a benefit for the greater good. But in your own view, as you see Nigeria today, is this a marriage of convenience, or we are practicing true federalism?
Thank you so much. I'll start by saying we are not practicing true federalism. I've studied and investigated some federal system of government in different parts of the world, and that is some countries. And the federalism we are playing in Nigeria is just not it.
Just a centralized system in disguise.
Thank you. In fact, the name I call Nigerian federalism is unitary federalism. Unitary federalism in the sense that we call on paper, that is in our constitution, that we are a federal state. However, power belongs to the center. That's unitary system of government. So in essence, we might say, oh, on paper, we are a federal state, but in practice, that is not obtainable. And if we look at the amalgamation of the Northern and Southern Protectorate, it was done by the colonial masters so as to ensure adequate and efficient rule over the country. You know, there was a time before the amalgamation, there was indirect rule of government in the southern part and direct rule of government in the northern part. And then those things had to, they saw that one was thriving and the other was not thriving. So in order to just bring the two together and efficiently maximize resources, control and exploitation, they had to amalgamate together. And that become a trend that we've not had a major say on, to say no, we don't want. Yes, we want. So yeah, it's a marriage of convenience.
So what should true federalism look like in a country as diverse as Nigeria?
All right, thank you so much. To talk about true federalism, I'll just talk about a few of the characteristics of federalism. One, essentially, which we all know, is division of power. Division of power between the federal, the states, and the local government. And that is the vertical form. And then in the horizontal form, it's between the legislature, executive, and the judiciary. Now, in the legislature, we have bicameral legislature in Nigeria. That is House, now Senate and House of Rep. So all these things are supposed to work together. When they are in their maximum and optimal efficiency, that is true federalism. Then we also talk about not submission, but partnership. Partnership, although powers are divided, but they must partner together in delivering their functions. Then we also have the Constitution. So when the Constitution says this and that, then lastly, what I would say about true federalism is fiscal control. That is money, resources, revenues, allocations, and all. Once it is centralized, it is really not federalism anymore. States, regions must be allowed to control their financial revenues. So division of power, constitution, partnership, and fiscal control. These are the things that embodies the true spirit of federalism. Federalism is not essentially we are different. Yes, we are different. But when these things are in place, that's federalism. Okay, now, basically, regional control is meant to be one of the true spirit of course, of federalism in a country like Nigeria. So, at what point did we start drifting away from the original vision of federalism in the country? Yeah, I would say between the Littleton Constitution and the 1960 Independence Constitution, that was when things started changing. Those little changes started coming in. You know, that of Richard's Constitution, I think that was 1946. It was mentioned, it gave room for regions to explore their options. That was when we had Western, Northern, and that was when all these things like cocoa, granules, and all were thriving in Nigeria. So when things went from the Littleton Constitution to the 60 Independent Constitution, we started seeing revenue control, we started seeing resource control. Those things started taking away control of regions, away from their resources. And that was when we started drifting away from federal system of government. And then over time, especially the military system, in fact, the military system broke federalism. It literally just splitted it and removed
unitary system of government.
Thank you so much.
Because in disguise as federalism.
Thank you. So when we've been seeing the spirit in our constitutions, and essentially the constitution is the life of the people. There's a philosopher in Germany, he calls it Volksgeist, that is the spirit of the people. The spirit of the people is what is embodied in the constitution. So when we start seeing the traces of unitary system of government in our constitution, essentially if our constitution is our spirit and this unitary is found in our constitution, that means unitary system of government is the spirit of the people in the real sense. So yeah.
So now, people talk about the exclusive and the concurrent list, and with over 60 items on the exclusive legislative list, is the federal government too powerful?
Yes, they are very powerful. We have 68
thereabouts items on the list of the exclusive list. And I don't know if you still want us to talk about things the federal government should not control.
Right. That's exactly why that question came up.
Exactly. With the federal government is too powerful and too handful. They have so many things on their plate that they can't control it all. There are 3 things there are just 3 basic things I would advocate to be removed from the exclusive legislative list, which actually things are coming in place for them, which is the policing, which is mineral resource control, and then there is the I think local government, and local government is not under their control, but there's something about fiscal allocation and revenue. You see that they allocate, I think 5% or 10% of whatever a state gets is what is given back to the state. So those things are things that actually should be removed from the exclusive legislative list. And although now balancing it, the federal government might be handful. However, if they are not in control of these things, state government might not be capable and sufficient enough to maximize the efficiency of the output of these things. So yes, the federal government is handful with this list. However, they can subdivide them and give autonomy to, or them is not autonomy, but partial control to the state governments there. So
you just mentioned how revenue is shared in the country. And if you are to talk about the vertical allocation formula and the sharing ratio, as we speak in Nigeria, the federal government gets 52.68% of all of that. State government gets 26.72%, while local government gets 20.60%. Now, the problem is, most states still get that of the local government and just give stipend to local government chairmen. That is another case entirely. But then, if the federal government gets that much, how is it to be evenly distributed across the country? And of course, some states they generate more money than others. While when you check how it is being distributed, they don't get as much. It doesn't reflect in what they get back from the federal government.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I would, in fact, the ratio that you just stated, 50, 26, 20.
Right.
If it was tilted the otherwise, state gets 50, federal gets even 15, and then local government gets 20 something higher. If it was to be tilted in the other position, the federal government would have understood better why state really has to be in control.
Take more.
Because, for example, look at oil resources. I know there are states in Nigeria that they
are oil rich,
but they are poor. They are literally poor in financial disbursement.
Bayelsa.
Thank you so much. I think last year I was in Bayelsa almost better part of my last year, and it was an eyesore. A state cannot be this rich in oil and then be suffering this much. So if the ratio had been tilted otherwise, then the federal government would have understood better. So I still am not in support of the 50. Okay, I think last year the AG Fed, there was a case between the AG Fed and AG of different state of the nation, where the AG Fed took the different state of the nation to court and saying that the court should rule that the local government account, is joint. It used to be joint.
Right.
State and local government should be splitted. I think that was a very good one in the part of the federal government. However, what should be done now is increasing the ratio of state allocations. States are not getting enough. Although we understand that even with the little states are getting, they are not efficient with it. But I will still advocate that if they can get more, they will do more. So, yeah, the federal allocation scheme should be changed. I think that's in the hands of RMFC. That's Resource Monetary Fiscal Control, something. That's on their own. And if they can eat to this, they will see substantial development in the state of the country. Yeah.
So also one of the criteria, the criteria being used to determine how much a state gets per time. And they talk about population, equality. Every state gets a base amount. There's a base amount for every state, then there are other add-ons. And that comes with population, land mass, internal generated revenue, IGR effort, derivation from oil-producing states. Now, top receiving states in Nigeria typically, and of course the pattern, these states usually include Rivers, Delta, Akwa Ibom, and Lagos. And the reason is that there is 13% oil derivation and high economic activity, especially in Lagos. And the average monthly allocation, and a rough guide, is oil producing states get about 15 billion to 30 billion right now. And non-oil producing states get about 5 to 10 billion. Smaller states get 4 to 6 billion, depending on how it is structured for that particular month. But the problem is that some states are still not putting these monies to good use, especially since the removal of fuel subsidy. So if we are talking about true federalism, we can put as much blame on the federal government as possible for taking too much. But what you get, as a state, what exactly have you done with it? We had a case of someone, former governor Samuel Otom, in Benue State, who said the land was bad and that was why they could not construct roads. And then at the point, some governors say, they had to pay salaries and the likes. Should those ones be excuses for the people not to enjoy the dividends of democracy?
Thank you so much. And one factor I want to bring out, what you're talking about now is the deficiency of the federalism in Nigeria. And one major factor is corruption and lack of control. Corruption.
How should the federal government have controlled all of this?
Lack of control in the sense that not that the federal government should control, but the federal government should oversee supervisory role, conduct supervisory role. I think that was one of the things the federal government did during the Rivers Brua between the governor and Wike when the federal government promulgated the emergency rule. Now, that was supervisory control just to ensure that things are going in order. And if we bring this down to fiscal allocation and resources, we will see that they've taken a part in splitting the joint account of state and local government. We see that state and local government, there were times that when these funds were joint in the same account, we've seen the slow pace in the progress of local government. But now, if we've seen the difference, within a year, we've seen local government progressing, doing exceptionally well for themselves. And now, my issue now also is not only about state government. My issue also is in local government. If local government are doing what they are meant to do, state government are doing what they are meant to do, there will be national transformation. Let the federal government not do anything, there will be national transformation. There are still countries that are passive, that undergo unitary system of government. For example, South Africa. South Africa undergoes partial federalism and partial unitary system of government, where confederacy. Confederacy. There are states that undergo confederacy. Okay. Now, confederacy is that we have regions, but we have more control than the head. The federal government does not control us. You know, in the federal system, federal government controls everything. Yes, but in confederacy now is the otherwise. The state now has the most power. We've seen states undergoing confederacy that are undergoing unimaginable and great national transformations. So, control in our part now is about the state. How much can they control and how much can they do? That's where corruption comes in. We've seen corruption affecting so many things in Nigeria. Like what you just said, if a state is getting 50 billion naira, which is not enough, truth be told, but what are you doing with the 15 billion naira and what are we seeing? What are the results from this? So we are not seeing much results from even the little that is being given to them. So yes, control and corruption are the major bane of federalism in Nigeria. And if we talk about federal character is another topic on its own under federalism, but yes, corruption and control is a major bane, yeah.
So now, I still want us to talk about how much states get and the level of corruption we are witnessing in the system of government in Nigeria. And according to the last amount received by these states, according to FAC, Rivers State got 40 billion naira, around 40 to 48 billion naira. And the Delta got 36 to 44 billion naira. Akwa Ibom got 32 to 38 billion naira, something around there. And Bayelsa got 26 to 32, between 26 to 32 billion, an average of that in the last few months. Now, basically, what I want to point out is that these are states that get 13% derivation. Other states that get that include Ondo and Lagos. But then the point is, if we go through this on a regular basis, monies are being given to states and, of course, local government at every point in time. If you consider some states who have not really considered local government autonomy, and you match what they get for local government with that of the state allocation, it is almost equivalent to what an average state gets in some places, especially. But then what exactly are we doing with this? We have seen state governments constructing roads that will need reconstruction in the next 2 weeks. And these monies belong not to the state government, but to the Nigerian people, citizens of that state, who are entitled to quality roads. They are entitled to water. And these are things that seems to be far off, that might never come. So how do we tackle all of this? Who is, I mean, aside from the local government, we should put everyone in their places and checkmate what exactly is being done. You have mentioned the federal government should play a supervisory role. And as long as we practice this system of government in Nigeria, that might not happen because the federal government has too much to do, just like you mentioned. So what exactly are the order of ways to get across this and then get it done?
Yes, thank you. I will start by saying, personally, I'm of the personal opinion that we should go back to the regional system of government under the Richard 1946 Constitution. So that's the best. I think if you compare those separate systems of government that we
in Nigeria's history,
that's been the best. That I think I'm not so certain, but I think that was when so many things came into place, all these institutions being built. Right. I mean, different things, different innovations. It was even in that period, up to 1963, that all these great things were founded in Nigeria. So, but afterwards, I mean, especially after the military era, we just saw degradation in the developmental progress in Nigeria. So, personally, I'm of the personal opinion that we should go back to regional system of government. Now, let's talk about issue of accountability. Accountability in Nigeria is very difficult. Corruption is eating deep. Okay, we were at a government parastatal this week, and what should just take signing the paper and taking it to the next office and approve what we want to do.
Then it's all bureaucracy.
That's if it were that, I would be okay. We were demanded to pay some certain amount of let me call it an egregious amount of money. I won't want to disclose all that on air, and so, but if you that's what demands I mean, you employed me and you're paying me just to sign the document. I'm being paid well, but now I'm demanding an extra fee
to do my job.
So that to tell you how deep corruption is eating into the system.
What kind of reform can be done to stop all of that?
I think people have been advocating and people have been promulgating so many theories and reformation principles that can be implemented in Nigeria. And even if we were to take one of them, I think it will still not be enough.
It is not instant.
It is not. The best is still regionalism. And what now? Apologies to the Easterners, to the Biafran movement, but my own advocacy still will be regionalism. Let Eastern Bloc stay on their own, Western Bloc stay on their own, Northern Bloc stay on their own, and let's still be Nigeria. However, it becomes a confederacy. To me, confederacy is the best system of government we can practice in Nigeria. When each region...
Strengthening the states.
Thank you. Look at it now. When a region is performing well, you see that, oh, this region is doing well. I must do better. My citizen must vote me in for the next election. Although that fear is no longer in Nigeria. I think in Nigeria, any politician is not scared of what the citizen will do if he's not doing well. If we win the next time, he knows that. So that's not a fear in Nigeria.
As long as you have a party structure that supports you.
Do you get it? So still going back, federalism is the best, confederacy is the best system. Do you know that United States practiced confederacy before their 1776 constitution? So confederacy is a good system of government if when implemented and managed well. You will get the best, even a bit better than federalism, because in federalism, I mentioned something about federal character. Federal character is like, because you are here, we will give you. That's what federal character is. Because you are here. Even though you deserve it, even though you don't deserve it, even though you're capable, we will give it to you. That's federal character, which is good because we have so many sectors, so many...
Has federal character been misinterpreted in the Nigerian context?
Oh yes, greatly. Federal character is supposed to help equal access to federal service or to
same resources.
And without a group dominating a minority group. That's the essence of federal character. And underlying principle is meritocracy.
And then it has snowballed to nepotism.
Thank you so much. Do you understand it now? The underlying principle is meritocracy, but now it's nepotism. Then you see people do... Okay, I don't want to say this again. It's still about government.
Okay. Now you have spoken about some certain issues that really need to be attended to. But then, basically, let me ask you this: if the state governments are empowered, just like you said, states become stronger. Okay, who suffers? The federal government might still play the supervisory role, but the local government, will there ever be a breathing space for the local government, which is the grassroots, where development should come from originally?
Thank you. And that will come from the treaty promulgating this regionalism. That would be the constitution. Why making this new constitution? You know, we already understand now that the constitution we make use of does not embody the spirit of federalism and is not the spirit of the people. You know, the preamble to the constitution says that we, the people of this something and something, do make for ourselves. And there's a Nwabo is a professor I admire so much in law. He says that whole statement is a lie, and that's the fact.
Because it wasn't us.
And
it was a selected group of people.
Thank you.
And if you link that to the new Electoral Act, that says now delegates don't vote on behalf of party members, what happens now is everyone is involved. So now, can we now get back to a stage where everyone is involved in the kind of constitution we want in Nigeria?
Yes, and that was what Jonathan did in the confab, 2014 confab. That was what he wanted
Which
to
never
do.
saw the light of the day.
Oh my God, it would have been the best thing in that.
Was that effort deliberately sabotaged?
Yes, it was. Yes,
By
it
who?
was. By the powers to be and the stakeholders that needed to benefit from the fall of it.
What's there to gain?
There is a lot to gain from that. Look at what is happening at the moment. That is what to be gained. We see things, we see people not named reaping the wealth of Nigeria. We see that if those things were in place, it gives power to the people. And once power is in the hands of the people, look at what happened in France. It's a revolution, the French Revolution, where the people, that was Karl Marx movement and ideology, when the people took power to hands and overthrew the government. So when power is in the hands of people, they control who gets there. Do you know that people don't know that you can recall your representative in the National
Most
Assembly?
people don't know that. But it has been attempted before.
But it has failed. I think I've only heard of a successful scenario, just one. But it has either failed or people don't know about
Or frustrated.
Or frustrated. So people that have things to gain will not let it be. However, the only thing we can do as citizens is to keep hammering on it. There will be a time will come. Do you also know that there's something we call referendum?
Right.
Referendum. Do you know that an average Nigerian does not understand what referendum is? Do you know an average Nigerian does not understand that we can conduct referendum?
That's why some people want a forced exit.
Thank you. So we have so many, even though our constitution is is defaultive, and then we have some
There are
laws,
still some provisions.
there's things that we can maximize on and bring to life. But there won't be sensitization on it. Do you know that there's a parastatal of the government that the essence of it is to sensitize the people of all
orientation agency.
Thank you. Okay, I was not now, but they're not doing. I would say they are doing selective orientation. They are selective orientation as to electoral process, as to LTUs, as to all these road construction. But
Some will say
deep things.
they are less funded. You don't have enough resources to carry all this out.
No, they are
And they would argue against what you just said.
yeah, they are state funded. Whatever state funds, state controls. So it's what the state dictates.
People have made mention of the fact that you take back power from the people who have hijacked it from the Nigerian people. And they have mentioned so many reasons why that should be done. But no one has actually come out. How do the people, how can they actually get power back from people who hijacked it from them, from the minority few?
Yeah, the first thing still is our electoral process. I know it is manipulated at this stage. It is manipulated at this stage. But the best way we can also do is desensitization of people being intentionally involved in the political and electoral process. You know, there's an apathy in this electoral system where people will be like, we already know who will win. Even if I vote you and I don't win, I know who will win.
Some people lost hope already.
But let's do it.
Our vote will not count.
The vote might not count, but let's do it. I'm of the opinion that an INEC president or chairman will come in and will change all this. It is now when we
Some
start.
still make reference to Atairu Jega.
Oh, that man was a brilliant man. Although in the later part of his administration, some things might have happened, but in his peak, he was a brilliant man. And I think we saw democracy at its best in his peak.
Will Nigeria ever practice true federalism?
I don't think so. We've gone too far.
How bad is it?
Really bad that we need a total overhaul of the system.
Is the system that bad, that faulty?
That faulty. Because looking at what is in trend in Nigeria at the moment, like I proposed, we need a new constitution that will dictate who does what, and that is done by the will of the people. So true overhaul and a total overhaul of the system.
Some are talking about duplication of responsibilities by some agencies, ministries, MDAs in Nigeria. Why do we have that?
We have that because of the federal system of government, and that's something. While I was in school, one of the things I learned about disadvantages of federalism is waste in our resources. So we have the federal government, which has a parastatal. Then we have state government, which has
the
a
same parastatal, doing the same thing.
And we have a local government, which has a small office for that same thing. All three tiers of government doing the same thing, but not achieving efficient results. For example, now, at the federal level alone, we have the EFCC, we have the ICPC. EFCC, ICPC, what does that mean? All about criminal corruptions, crimes. But what is the result so far?
Oyo State has Oyaka.
Thank you so much. But have they made headlines recently? Have they made news recently?
Are you saying they are just toothless bulldogs?
Yes, they are. And they are in the hands of the state. Whatever the state controls, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. That's what is happening in Nigerian federalism. And it's a whole lot, and it's an eyesore. In fact, nations outside, they pity us on what is going on in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. So there needs to be a total change. But that might be difficult.
It will be difficult.
It will be difficult.
Emmanuel Oladile, thank you for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
It has been a wonderful session with you. Now, it is clear that Nigeria's federal system is deeply rooted in history, shaped by colonial strategy, and of course, with nationalist ideas. It has been the big story on Dominion Television this morning. Thank you for joining us. Do well to link up with us on our socials. But do not forget that nationalist negotiations and post-independence parties, realities, but as calls for restructuring grow louder, the debates over true federalism remains unresolved. Is Nigeria's current structure a departure from its original vision or an adaptation to modern realities? Many thanks to my guest, Emmanuel Oladile Abiola, for sharing his insights on this critical national issue. I'm Samson Balogun, and this has been The Big Story on Daybreak Live Extra. Stay with us. Up next is Trend Watch.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. And it is time for Trend Watch. And the gang back in the studio. Anoluwapo Idowu and Oluwayemi Adelaku. Welcome back.
Thank you. We're back.
So let's roll into
Take us there.
what's
Just like
trending.
we would say on the streets.
Just a few minutes to this time, about 19 minutes particularly. There's a current protest that is happening in a community in Kwara State, and of course it was quite a big deal because we could see old people, women coming out crying. They held placards and all of that to say, help us, save us, because they've had not just the instances they've also had threats in recent times to say, we are coming for you guys. We are, and so they were scared, so they came out to say, you know what, federal government, we need help. Please help us on this issue. Meanwhile, another issue, just like we also know, Asari Dokubo was also maybe in the news. Some would say allegedly that he says that hunger in this country is too much, and fuel and many other things are now very expensive. A lot of things really at the same time that we have. Just like you can see the protests of people raising placards and saying, please help us. These are community members in Kwara State. Speaking to the government to help them. We understand how many people have died in recent times, and this is a far cry from what we expect.
Right. I think that was, for a lot of persons, they envisaged that something like this would happen, especially with, the numerous cases that we've seen in Kwara State, people being killed on a daily basis, including the security operatives, soldiers, police officers, and of course, old, young, and then tall and short. It's really sad that we are at this point in time. But if you look at the number of cases that we've seen in Kwara State in the last few months, it is a lot. And I think, it should be a state of particular concern. I want to believe that, recently the IGP, sent something to the Senate so that they can append the signature, and I want to believe that they will be on top of this matter to see that they get to the bottom of that. And of course, crossing over to the Asari Dokubo issue, a video trended online yesterday, and then so many persons thought that it was Asari Dokubo, and that the man was saying Tinubu should resign. There's so much hunger in the land, there's insecurity. He was dancing. For a lot of persons, they thought it was a comic video, but until you watch the video properly,
listen carefully,
you won't understand that the man is trying to say that, okay, Tinubu should resign, he should do this, there's hunger in the land. He was wearing a cap, and of course the outfit was perfect. And of course, after that video, Asari now made another video to say, I'm not that person. That's my brother. He's from Bayelsa State, I'm from River State, but we are very good brothers. He now said it doesn't, and this is the problem now. He said something. He said, it doesn't matter what Tinubu does, he will still remain my friend. So that's the problem now, really.
Well, people have reasons to be friends with other people. And I think it is also there that there's freedom of association. I can decide to associate with you and decide not to associate with you, depending on how close we are and why we are close. So the why is much more important than any other thing. And I hope you understand. Now, talking about the issue of protest in Kwara, it's been a long time coming. Actually, it was bound to happen. You can't continue to subject people to these harsh conditions and you expect them to keep quiet and nobody will say a thing about it. And we have seen it happen not just in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 communities across the country, especially now moving down west, where some communities are sacked and then a lot of people are killed. And the question you ask yourself is that when this kind of situation happens, what exactly is the reason why it is happening? The first thing you consider is, have you done an analysis of that community? Are there natural resources there? Okay? Is that place a strategic position to relocate some people? Okay? I think I was speaking to an analyst a few years ago, and he said, look, there are some cabals who went as far as Niger, Senegal, and some other places where they have a large concentration of Fulanis, and told them that it is time for them to come back home. And where is the home? The home is Nigeria, because they feel like this is where they migrated from here to that place. Probably some of them distorted history. And so he said, by virtue of that, he thinks that there's a theory to eliminate some people, take their communities from them, and then relocate those people back to those communities. That, for me, is way out of the roof anyway, but that was his assertion. But the thing is, even if that is not happening, why do we continuously have communities being sacked by the suspected Fulani herdsmen, bandits, kidnappers, and people are killed on a regular basis in their numbers. Sometimes you go through the pages of the newspaper, you say 100 people killed somewhere. These are not just, they are not just numbers. These are human beings, potential fathers, or maybe fathers, mothers, children in some cases, all maimed overnight, their houses burnt down. For what reason exactly? Because if it is about religion, you want to maybe indoctrinate me, and I say I'm not doing, the first thing to do is not to come back in the middle of the night and then sack the whole community and kill everybody. The only thing is to do is to continue telling me what I need to do and why I should take your religion. And if you are successful in doing that, then there's no point fighting over it. But I think most people in Nigeria still do not understand that when it comes to religion and association, it is by free will. Nobody compels anyone to join a religion or start a religion or maybe associate with anybody. So we should get that correctly. And by tribe, you cannot suddenly, because I'm Yoruba now, does not mean by tomorrow morning I can forcefully become an Igbo person. It is inborn. This is a thing that you don't naturally naturalize. Yes, you might say I've stayed in Akwa Ibom for a long time. Maybe I've stayed in Ebonyi for a long time. But it still doesn't make me a part of them. It only makes me someone who has lived there for a particular period of time. So I think Nigerians should understand the basis of staying together as a people.
Definitely.
Let's just take a few comments. This is coming from Winsome. It says, Northern Nigeria communities are bleeding. Meanwhile, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces is busy with his re-election campaign. What are you campaigning for when you can't perform your primary duties, even as president? You have shown a high level of incompetence. That's it.
Well, I think, people have a reason to believe whatever it is they want to believe, but then it has to be moderated, okay? And do we have another comment just before we go? Let's take just one more comment and then we call it a day on that particular one this morning. All right, I think Crespo says, things have never been this bad. Look at how old women are crying. I think Yoruba Nation will worldwide need to stand up and defend the people, because the people in government only seems to care about 2027. Well, if you are talking about the Yoruba Nation, you really have to be careful there. You are talking about secession, and there are ways to go about it. There is a referendum, and you can simply request that we are no longer, and it's not just about one person. You can see the one that actually championed the whole cause is now a supporter of a political party in Nigeria. So if you think you want to toe this path at this time, you really need to be careful. Otherwise, you find yourself, at the other side of the border. Okay, well, it's time to actually say our BYE on today's edition of Daybreak Live Extra on Dominion Television. Thank you for being a part of this so far. Don't forget to link up with us on all socials. Support at this platform, of course, drop your comments, of course, during every show, and we'll take them. Until next week, when we shall be meeting again on another interesting edition of Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Monday to Friday, same time, same station, same 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Samson Balogun is my name. But don't forget that security business is everybody's business. If you say something, say something.
All right, and of course, this one is also to the security operatives. Anytime they attack one state or community, it doesn't stop with one attack. I think it's something that they should actually look into. We can be proactive rather than reactive. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. Good morning.
And I'll see you again next week. My name is Abdul Wakboy, and bye for now.